begin by thanking the Jets and Panthers for not doing it on Saturday, not doing it on Easter Sunday like the Eagles in Washington once did with Donovan McNabb back in 2010, disrupting an otherwise peaceful and relaxing late afternoon. Wait until Monday when we're all fully engaged and we're ready to give our hot takes. So thank you for being judicious about the news flow. And the news came late yesterday afternoon. Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a smattering of draft picks, nothing close to the 3 second-round picks the Jets gave the Colts when they flip-flopped 6-3 in 2018. So clearly the investment did not pan out the way the Jets had hoped, but they turn a guy that they otherwise were done with into something. They get a second-round pick in 2022, which isn't bad, and they move forward clearly with a quarterback in the second overall spot. Many believe it will be Zach Wilson. What was your initial reaction when you saw the news?
Well, I mean, not surprised either. I mean, we talked about all this stuff for the last month. You know, I don't want to sit here and, like, first off, I think, you know, with Matt Rule, Joe Douglas, like, you know, I think at that time they weren't sure how things were going to play out. So I don't think they're totally lying to us. But yes, like you, like me, I mean, we saw it on the horizon. I mean, and especially I think once we saw the Zach Wilson workout, I think that's when you just went, okay, wait. All right, that was special. I know it's just a workout, but we haven't seen a lot of workouts that it looked like that. So not surprised. I guess I'm surprised that it happened yesterday. I wasn't expecting it. It kind of came out of nowhere, but really thought something like this would go down, and good trade for both sides, really, the way I look at it, because you know I love Zach Wilson.
Well, and for Sam Darnold, the jury's still out on what he's going to be. But I said this yesterday afternoon as we were reacting in real time to what had transpired. I tend to believe that if a quarterback is going to become a true short-list franchise quarterback, he declares it early. We see something in the first 3 seasons that makes us say, there it is. Wait, there's that thing. There's that moment. There's that special skill that no one else in the world possesses that he's going to demonstrate from time to time. And all due respect to Sam Darnold, Chris, there's been nothing in his first 3 years that has caused us to say, holy crap, or another 4-letter word that we can't say on Peacock, although I'm still confused about that. But regardless, or irregardless, as they may say, the reality is the Jets came to the conclusion, the Jets who know them better than anyone after 3 years, came to the conclusion. It's time to move on. And part of that is we got Sam Darnold in the hand. We got the potential of Zach Wilson in the bush, where we think that Wilson is going to give us the moments we never got from Darnold.
I think that's it. I don't think it's necessarily like an indictment on Sam Darnold, like, oh man, you can't play. It didn't work here with the Jets. You're out of here. You know, we're shipping you out. The first trade offer we get, right? No, I still think there was a lot of belief in that building. I do, as far as like what he could be, and the fact that he had, you know, got the short straw or the short stick, whatever you want to say, as far as support around him, help. You know, it was the last regime who made that trade, you know, like you said, to go up from 6-3. Now it's a new regime trying to clean things up, certainly. You know, yes, Sam Darnold, like we've always been talking about, it hasn't been great. We know that. But, I mean, how good can it be? I mean, how good can it really be? Like with the cast of characters that have been around him, it's just not possible to really succeed. Yeah, okay, maybe Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers could make it work and look better, but it's like a very, very short list of people that could have done anything with that Jets football team to make us feel like, oh, wow, they're here, they've arrived. They did him an injustice. They never really got, you know, the support around him to let him get going as a football player and even establish himself to even have enough talent around him to give the moments that you're talking about. You know, that's what I think is the big thing with Sam Darnold. I will not be shocked if he goes down to Carolina and wins football games and ends up having a real good career down there in a place that, you know, I think really suits him as far as talent and the way the system is run down there in Carolina.
Was he good enough over the past 3 years to justify being the 3rd overall pick in the draft, regardless of the supporting cast around him?
No, probably not. No. I mean, okay, yeah, he wasn't the number 3 pick of the draft. He was not. That's a fair question or a fair way to say it, certainly. But, again, you say it all the time. We know that. The draft is a crapshoot. He was a guy that had a lot of hype coming out, from USC. He had that great Rose Bowl game against Penn State, where after that, you couldn't tell the world he wasn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a lot like the Trevor Lawrence conversation we're having this year. You're not allowed to say he's not the greatest quarterback ever. It was the same way that year with him. And remember how everybody was shocked? Like, what? The Browns are going to take Baker Mayfield? They're not going to take Sam Darnold, who everybody was just saying was the best, and I have the highest QB grade in the history of scouting on this guy and all that stuff. So, no, he did not live up to expectations, but I also will say he got no help or no nudge to really be able to deliver on those expectations either. I mean, come on, those receivers this year, gee willikers, Batman, they were pitiful.
When you think back to the 2017 season, and that was the first year we were working together on this program, Darnold was the guy wire to wire who was regarded as the top quarterback prospect in the ensuing draft. And I have a vivid recollection of someone on this show constantly referring to him as Sam Darnold. I can't remember whether it was
the French. He was a little French back then.
But it's I think coincidental.
Yeah.
And important that the Darnold trade happened on Monday, because over the weekend, and we really have reached the low water mark between free agency and the draft when things like this become news. There's someone with The Athletic who wrote an article that caught some traction that Zach Wilson, wait for it, is a boom or bust prospect.
Whoa.
Well, no crap. They all are. And I think the only reason it created headlines is because no one else, generally speaking, will come out and say there's a chance all these quarterbacks that are getting all this publicity in the run-up to the draft aren't going to be any good. Some of them won't be very good. We just don't know at this point. So we don't talk about – I think there's two reasons we don't talk about it. And I say we, I mean everyone in the media.
One,
we know that this is all about selling hope to the fan bases whose teams select these players. So it's better to view the glass as half full. It's kind of evolved that way over time.
Yeah.
When in Rome, hype up the draft picks. And also, if people are too candid about, if Mel Kiper on his conference calls that he does, I don't know, once a week, once every other week, and all the other draft experts are saying, well, there's a chance that half these guys are going to stink. The next question is, well, which ones are going to stink? Well, we don't know. Well, why are we listening to you then? and so it's all positive. But when we look back, the history is strewn with guys who didn't work out. Look at 2018. Baker Mayfield, we still don't know for sure. Sam Darnold, trending bust. Josh Rosen, what the hell happened to him? Josh Allen, superstar. Lamar Jackson, superstar. 5 guys taken in round 1. 2 superstars and 3 other guys where one we know. Now, who knows what's going to happen with him? Maybe he gets lucky in San Francisco. Maybe Mac Jones, or whoever's going to be picked, gets injured, and he works his way up as a better backup than the guys they've had behind Jimmy Garoppolo. But Josh Rosen's off the radar screen, and now Sam Darnold is relegated to Carolina. Right. So the thing to remember is, as we get ready for the draft, which is 3 weeks and 2 days away, there's no guarantee that any of these guys are going to be great, and chances are half of them won't be. Even at the quarterback position, which has gotten better in recent years, there's still a 50-50 shot. That guy that you think is going to save your franchise isn't, as the Jets found out in giving up on Sam Darnold.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, first round picks, it's all about elite traits, right? So that can lend to, at times, being bust or a player not turning out the way you want them because, hey, you saw something on film where you went, wow, this is really special. Okay, maybe this guy's got some other areas he's got to clean up, but this one area is special, and if we can build on that, it could be something. And, of course, yes, people do miss and do those type of things and misevaluate or don't do the right thing to support the player to really get the draft pick, the jump off. That's the big thing. And again, that's what I'll go back to with Sam Darnold and where he was done wrong from the get-go there with the New York Jets. And you talk about other quarterbacks, right? I mean, the ones that have succeeded for the most part have had talent around them from the get-go to kind of get going on the right foot, gain confidence, get the team to get confidence in you. Wow, we've won games. Oh, this guy's got the it factor. That's what comes next. And now it's, oh, look, he's the man. He's a franchise quarterback. And so that has to be part of the team to help the quarterback reach that pinnacle spot to be that guy. And that's where the Jets never helped Sam Darnold. And you're right, it is a crapshoot. We don't know. I mean, we don't know about Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson, but we see enough really, really high-level stuff to go, ooh, man. I mean, if they just work hard and do things the right way, man, they're going to be able to do some special things. And I think that's ultimately what the Jets looked at. I think the Jets have had their eye on Zach Wilson throughout the whole year. And then, of course, now it's all the coaches get to evaluate. When they come in, they get to see it. And then you get to go to a pro day, and he does something like that. That puts you in a spot where you go, wow, I'm really excited. I got a stamp as Joe Douglas, or a chance to put a stamp on the franchise the way I want it and build this team the way I really see fit, not the way the last regime did with Sam Darnold in that trade. And I think that's probably what excites the Jets, and it should excite the Jet fans too.
And look, I'm not defending the Jets here because, frankly, based upon their performance over the past, 50 years, there's no sense in trying to defend them. But if you've got it, it's obvious. The moment that Tyrod Taylor has his unfortunate run-in with Dr. Needle last year, and Justin Herbert is literally told 5 minutes, literally, before the game, grab your helmet and play. And it's like, holy crap, this kid can play. We never had that from Sam Darnold. We never had that. At some point, when you do have the elite traits, it transcends the crap that's around you. Not that there was crap around Justin Herbert with the Chargers, but you get my point.
I got you.
At some level, the quarterback is so good that he elevates the guys around him.
I get you.
And Darnold was never that.
No, he was never that. You're right. There is, even if they can't elevate, and you just see, you go, whoa, there's something about that guy. Herbert, even that first game, when we watched him, wasn't that he blew our doors off game one, but you looked at it and you went, man, he's big. Whoa, he's fast. And, man, he's got a really unbelievable arm and seems to throw it very easily 40 yards down the field, 6 feet off the ground. You're right. There was those things that jumped up. Mike, it's the big reason I pushed back against Sam Darnold the first time around. I mean, when he got drafted, because you never saw that on film in college. You never saw a guy that was just throwing lasers all over the field. You saw a guy that was a good player, had a good arm, had quick feet, and for the college level, was a great scrambler. So he could play backyard football, and it was fun to watch, and you just felt like, man, USC's never out of it with Sam Darnold. But that doesn't always translate to the NFL. It's a different game. And, yes, that's where Sam Darnold, is he going to be a superstar? I would say no. I don't see superstar in him like you're saying. And that's where the Jets messed that up. Mike Maccagnan and company, as far as taking him in the top 5. I don't see that either. But still, think you put him on a good football team and you give him weapons like DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey and Ian Thomas at tight end and those type of things. I go, oh, no, you can win football games with Sam Darnold. You can do that. And I think that's, realistically the way I view him.
Could have had Josh Allen instead that year. Didn't even have to trade up from 6 to 3 and could have had Josh Allen.
No, but his completion percentage, Mike. His completion percentage. Oh, my gosh, Mike. His completion percentage. He didn't get to throw screens, and he played in a blizzard and had nobody blocking and didn't have one talented receiver. But it was all Josh Allen's fault. It was nobody else.
So basically, Allen would have been the same with the Jets as he was in Wyoming.
No, I'm not. I think Josh Allen would have had more of those moments of, like you were saying about Justin Herbert, where things wouldn't – I don't know if it would have mattered in a whole lot of the win-loss column, but I think Josh Allen, like we've seen over the last 3 years, even when it wasn't pretty, he would do some stuff and we go, damn, that was good. Whoa, holy cow, what a throw, what a run. I mean, he did stuff like that, to your point, that opened our eyes. And then what did Buffalo do? They started getting talent around them, and all of a sudden it explodes. So we'll see. Maybe it does explode from Sam Darnold, but he certainly doesn't have Josh Allen's talent, which we know is superstar special.
And that gets back to my original point.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything from Darnold that would make us say, holy crap, like we have from Josh Allen.
Yeah,
and I think,
right.
hey, there are interesting exercises in alternate history that we could engage in. I've said for years, what if the Bengals had ended up with Achilles Smith and the Eagles had, or Donovan McNabb and the Eagles had ended up with Achilles Smith? Does Andy Reid turn Achilles Smith into something, and does starting his career with the Bengals caused Donovan McNabb to wash out of the NFL as quickly as Smith did? Those are things we'll never know. But obviously that first organization you end up with, and what they do to help and support you or otherwise, and coach you and get the best out of you, that has a huge impact on whether or not you fulfill that promise that you have as a top 10 pick. Now, I thought the sweet spot for the Jets when it came to trading Sam Darnold would be to wait until after round 1, see who's left after the music stops on the top quarterbacks, Panthers, Broncos, other teams possibly, and then you try to trade Sam Darnold. Thinking back to 2 years ago when the Cardinals waited until after round 1, you have about 18 hours before the start of round 2. They traded Josh Rosen after picking Kyler Murray. I thought maybe the Jets would take Zach Wilson, wait to trade Sam Darnold. But I get the impression, Chris, when you consider what the Jets picked up here, and they got a second-round pick next year, a fourth-round pick next year, a sixth-round pick this year, there's a good chance that the Panthers, one of the candidates to be that team between round 1 and round 2, weren't going to be waiting around and would have addressed their needs somewhere else. And I feel like the Jets just had to do it now. Had to make it happen now, because there's no guarantee that package was going to be there later. And I think they benefited from that urgency that the Panthers may have. And we're going to talk more about the Panthers side of it, but they've obviously been trying to upgrade.
Of course, right.
And they've had the door slammed in their face at every turn. So maybe the Jets were able to get more now than they would have gotten later for Sam Darnold.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe. You're right. I mean, we know they were in the Matthew Stafford conversation. We know they want Deshaun Watson. That door's closed. We've heard them rumored with teams in the draft, everything like that. Mike, I think it comes down to like something kind of you just said there at the end, where they probably wanted to go, as far as the Jets are concerned, wait, there's only a few teams left that really need quarterbacks. And as we sit here right now, it's really only 2. I know we know, like we talked about yesterday, maybe Seattle, something can happen there. But as it stands right now, this second, it was Carolina and Denver. It was one of those 2 teams. So I would bet the Jets probably looked at it a little bit to go, wait, if they fill one of those holes at quarterback or whatever, now we're down to 1 team, and that's it. Or then we might have to wait to the draft. And I would think that the Panthers, from their standpoint, Mike, they want to get their team figured out here. They want to figure out how they're going to orchestrate the draft. Okay, wait, we got this quarterback. Let's start to think about how we can run our offense, do those type of things. And here's the big thing to me that, I think we're all missing. Panthers didn't want to take a quarterback at 8. They did, so the way they looked at it right now, and they went, okay, wait, it seems like 1, 2, 3 is going to be quarterback. We don't like 4 or 5 at number 8. So that to me is what they came to the determination of. So now they can move on to how they want to adjust their draft, and they're off the quarterback conversation, and how are we going to finagle to maybe move up in the draft to figure this out, or all those type of things. Now they don't have to worry about it. Now they can go, wait, we can pick whatever we need at number 8, or if somebody wants to trade up to number 8 to maybe get one of these quarterbacks, maybe we could trade down, do something like that. But I do find that to be the interesting angle, too, that the Panthers kind of threw in the towel with the quarterbacks in the draft and said, the hell with it, we're going Sam Darnold, and we're moving on.
Well, there was a report or a suggestion or whatever we want to call it recently from Mike Tannenbaum, the former GM of the Jets, and he was an executive with the Dolphins, that the Panthers were looking into the 3 spot as well when the 49ers made that jump from 12 all the way up to 3, making it clear they were taking a quarterback. And I think if you're sitting at 8, and as the boards begin to shift and harden, you realize quarterback at 1, quarterback at 2, quarterback at 3, maybe quarterback at 4, maybe quarterback at 5 if the Bengals slide down and the Broncos jump up. And, we have to assume that the Panthers have had all relevant conversations and considered all potential permutations to try to get Justin Fields or Trey Lance, assuming those are the two guys who are going to be left. And as you said, you don't – maybe they would have been interested in those guys if they had landed at 8, but you don't want to give up on top of 8 to get those guys, whatever it is you'd have to give up to move up to 4 or 5. So we're going to go the Sam Darnold route instead. And the Jets benefit because I never got the impression the Broncos were all that interested in Darnold as a potential upgrade over Drew Lock.
Right.
And where else does Darnold go? Once the 49ers slam the door on the possibility, then Carolina – Carolina was not a team that we had high on the list of potential Sam Darnold destinations. So the Jets, I think, got a little bit lucky here. And I think the Jets made their move now because they recognize there's a damn good chance they weren't going to get something like that when April 27, 28, 29 rolls around and the draft gets going and teams start making other moves and teams maybe address needs between now and then. So I think the Jets did what they had to do, knowing that they were going quarterback, knowing that they weren't going to keep Darnold around. And the other angle here, too, we've got the fifth-year option that the Panthers will now pick up on Sam Darnold at $18.8 million. For the first time, that option is fully guaranteed at exercise. So the Jets had to make this move before May 3. They had to do it. Otherwise, what they were going to be trading was 1 year with Sam Darnold at roughly $4 million, but no guarantee that you could keep him around for a second year. So what value are you getting if you're the Panthers or someone else if you wait too long to do it? So the Jets had to get it done. They had to make a decision as to which guy they were going to keep. They couldn't keep both Zach Wilson or whoever they take at number 2. And
That's
Sam
right.
Darnold. So they did what they had to do, and they got what they got, and I think they got a better deal now than they would have gotten later, period.
I think I think you're right. I mean, you just don't know how it's going to shake out, and they don't want to be there like in the situation you're talking about in May or now. Hey, wait, we've got a new quarterback of our team, but we're spending all our time talking about the quarterback we don't want and why. What are we going to do with him? And how are we going to split reps during, OTAs and doing all those things? It works for both sides. Carolina now gets their quarterback and they can start feeding him offense and playbook and pages because, just to get the head start there. And I don't know if we're going to have on-field work at any point or not, but I'm guessing coaches, I know coaches, they're hoping and expecting that at some point after the draft, they're going to be able to get on the field, practice, do those things. And, that, of course, you want to have that situation settled there, too, just so Sam Darnold can get in the huddle and, seamlessly call plays and not being, going through the learning of all that on the fly after the draft. So I think it makes sense from both sides, Mike. I really do. And I think he really fits with what Carolina wants to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.